And welcome on in, everybody. It's your Frogman here, King Pepe II, bringing you the latest of the Fiend Hunter Boss. The official run where, well, it's a pretty simple, straightforward fight with the Mother Birdie Yokai. Gonna be analyzing it, gonna be looking at the team builds, gear, all that good stuff. But before we head into it, if you're new to the channel, like and subscribe. Get all the latest news, guides, and everything else that I have with Brown Dust 2 that I enjoy uploading because I really do love this game a lot. So yeah, but yeah. So with that being said, let's hop into it. Okay. So first things first. Mother Bird Yokai, right? And I do apologize, by the way, in case I cough here and there because I'm still recovering, but I'm feeling a hell of a lot better than I did the other week. Okay. But anyway, let's take a look here. So my first team consisted of Liberta, Terese, Deanna, Rafina, and Blade. My second team consisted of Grenadier, Rafithia, Celia, Sonia, and Luvencia. Okay? So lots of Dark Elemental users for this boss because obviously this is a light type. So if we take a look at the team formation, okay, I'm going to go a little bit into its gear or into my gear that I have for them. Okay? So obviously, first thing is first, this is a magic type boss. So you want to have magic resistance, which is why I have this. Okay. Now, I had to put my gear a little bit differently for Luvencia, but I would highly recommend putting magic resistance for her, you know, with the armor. In case you guys don't know armor, and anybody new watching this or new to the game, it is called Fiend Guard. Okay, it can be a tier 3 or tier 4, but for the higher levels, I would highly recommend trying to go for a tier 4, but that's up to you, okay? And then for the, and then for the headgear, you can either rock Solar Brilliance, tier 3 or tier 4. I rocked, in this case for Sonia, Solar Brilliance, okay? And then as the other one, Radiant Wisdom, which is most likely the one that I'm always talking about, right? Yeah, it is. But yeah, magic resistance, okay? Which you want to have for this boss, like I said. Now, if we look at the supporters, okay, so the supporters, basically, you just want them to survive, right? They don't really necessarily need a lot of gear. Unless you're rocking Deanna and you want to use her anti-dystopia ability, then that skill and the energy guard are connected to how much magic percentage she has to make the energy guard. However, she still has a lot of energy guard when she does activate it, so you don't necessarily need a high number of magic percentages in your substats. You just need her to survive as well, along with Liberta. So this is why I just slapped some other gear on them. I, however, mainly focused on the armor and the headgear, okay? And if you don't have, like, let's say, you know, Dark Rosarium, which is basically Liberta's signature, you can literally just rock another gear. Like I said, this just gives her an extra boost in health, so you can really just rock another gear, like one of these gears, for example, like the item ones, you can just slap them on her, okay? Just make sure that she just lives, okay? It goes for basically all the supporters. Now, as for the DPS units, okay, so if we're looking at Blade, right? Now, seeing as how you cannot roll stats like attack and attack percentages in magic resistant type armors, you're going to have to rock, as I always say, crit damage percentages, because it's a hell of a lot easier to just deal with it, and I'll always say it to this day. Okay. Now, there are some exceptions where, like, if you get, like, let's say if this was invulnerable armor, I believe that's the defense one, right? Then, obviously, you can be a little bit, you know, thinking about if it's attack percentage or flat stat, depending on your builds themselves. Always check their skills, their skill trees, guys, okay? And really, you know, it revolves around that. But in this case, I wanted to go for critical damage percentage numbers. It's a hell of a lot easier to just equip. Same thing with the helmets. That's why it's just so easy to just equip it on them. Because since these are magic, right, you want to have the crit damage percentages be the same. And vice versa with physical armor when it comes to attackers, like physical damage dealers. And you want to put the armor on like a magic user. You want the same stats. Okay? Makes sense? I hope that did. As for the gauntlets and the accessories, Venomous Touch, I did use for my girl Blade. Now, you do not necessarily need all of this crit damage percentages. For Blade's case, you can literally have some attack percentages. In all honesty, you know, 2 of these could be attack percentages, but it just turned out the way it was, and it honestly was like one of my highest tier ones, so I rocked with it. God King Silver Arm, in my opinion, is the best 4-blade, but that's up to you. You can also use the other one, which is the Gauntlet one, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head right now. It is this one. You can also rock this one if you really want to as well, which is the Prime Authority, tier 3 or tier 4. It adds basically, the only difference is Prime Authority adds, what is it? It adds flat stat as one of the basic attributes and attack percentages. And then the God King Silver Arm is both attack percentages. So that's the only difference. Really, like I said, always base it off of like what your skill tree looks like for their stats. You know, how many attack percentages, how many flat stats to rock it with the skill tree. And then, you know, build your team from there. Now, I have blades, you know, now like I said, doesn't need necessarily all this crit damage, okay? But I have blades, signature gear. You do not necessarily need it. If you want to, you can use a substitute, which is always a nice choice as well. So you can rock the Dragon Sword, which is the one that my Lathel has. Where is it? Let me try and find it so I can just show you what it looks like. It's literally the only sword in the entire UR for physical, so it shouldn't be difficult to find. Or you can rock Thor's Hammer, which is what I call it, which is this one. Oh yeah, there's the sword. It's the Hammer of Thunder, tier 3 or tier 4. You can rock that. Or you can rock this one for blade as well. Lathel, let me show the audience here. Evil Dragon's Blade, tier 3 or tier 4. Okay, so like I said, if you do not have Blade's exclusive gear, do not worry. Crafting it in the UR system is also a nice thing to do as well. Now, Rafina, she doesn't necessarily need a lot of, like, you know, stats for her. Hers is basically, in this case, supplying the debuffs. That's where she's going to shine with this boss, and you'll see why in a second, okay? So you do not necessarily need to worry too much about her. Just slap some gear on her with the accessory, which is, I just used Venomous Touch because I had it. And then I have her exclusive, but like I said again, you can craft something else in replace of that. So like the God King Silver Arm or the Prime Authority if you want to. And then as for the weapon, I put Peerless Javelin because I just had it on hand. Or you can just rock any of the other weapons that I told you that you could craft, the Dragon Sword or the, you know, Thor's Hammer there, okay? Gear-wise, same thing. You wanted to survive. I picked one of these event gears just because I had it lying around. Now, she does have a lot of health. But, like I said, just if you want to do higher floors, because I'm obviously going to change this later on, I am going to be using a Radiant Wisdom later down the line. Okay? Grenadier, Verfithia, they're supporters, so just have them survive. Okay, so we're looking at Celia, Sonia, and Luvencia. They're basically the same build. It's just that with Celia and Sonia, they were very easy to go with gear-wise. So the Chakra Treachery, tier 3 or tier 4, I picked for the best one for them to use. Now, you can actually rock the bracelet, which is what I call it, okay? Just easier for me to remember. If you want the correct name for it, it is called, where is it? It's like the bracer. This is what I call it. Oh my gosh, where the hell is it? Oh my goodness. Anyway, you'll find it in the crafting gear. It's just a bracelet, basically. Okay? But, yeah, you can equip that. But I rocked the Chakra Treachery along with Sonia. And I have her exclusive gear, but like I said, you can use Venomous Touch for this as well. Now, I use Solar Brilliance instead of the Radiant Wisdom, just because I just had this on hand and because I had substats with magic percentages, which in a lot of ways for Sonia, she actually does benefit more from. Fiend Guard, same thing. I just slapped some magic percentage numbers in it because she rocks a lot more with that. I picked for the weapon, Travel God's Friend, tier 3 or tier 4. Gives you some crit damage percentage numbers and some flat stat for attack. And I also put attack percentages and a flat stat for her weapon gear. Really, it was much like the same thing for Celia as well, except I have a little bit more crit damage percentage in her gear slots. But she doesn't necessarily need all of it, so just kind of balance it out, like I said. Now for Luvencia. Okay, so Luvencia for me did a lot more damage on the second half, more so than Sonia and Celia did. However, since at the time I didn't really have, you know, the gear at the moment for Luvencia to equip with Fiend Guard, I didn't necessarily get to it. Okay? However, in the future battles, which I'll be doing, you know, off screen, basically, I am going to be rocking a Fiend Guard because I'm going to make one. Okay, so Venomous Touch. Obviously, this is the best choice for Luvencia. And then God King Silver Arm, which is the one I rocked for her. Put some attack percentage numbers into her and 1 crit damage percentage number. Her exclusive gear, same thing, guys. If you do not have it, do not worry. Craft it, just like I said for Blade and for Rafina. Do the same thing. Dragon Sword or Thor's Hammer that you can craft, okay? Now, let's hop into the fight. I talked enough, but that's basically what I rocked with, okay? So let's go face the Yokai bird here. I know. I try to get this done as fast as possible with the explanation, so I do hope it helped you guys get some sort of reference to the gear builds and stuff like that. Okay. Now, first things first with this boss, right? Okay, so we're going to first off look at the conditional skill. So I'm going to read it. The skill is activated when any part is affected by vulnerability. This skill activates a maximum of a 1 time per team in battle. Defense and magic resistance of all parts is reduced by 20% for 6 turns. Deals 5,972 magic damage to the enemy, equal to 400% of your magic attack. And then it just attacks regardless of where you are, meaning like this is just a set, you know, range. So if you literally move Rafina, it's going to still go in the same area, okay? Okay, so its first attack here. No, technically it's not an attack. So what it's going to do is this. So you do not want to activate the conditional skill just yet, because you want this skill to be used first, because it's going to apply an augmentation effect to all of its parts for 10 turns, and it's going to increase the damage dealt by 100%, meaning we're going to be dealing a lot more damage to this yokai after it does this. And then we'll proceed to activate this conditional skill by applying vulnerability to the mother bird yokai. And that in turn, you know, it'll add up more damage in the long run, okay? And if we look at this other skills here, so we're going to be getting down to this right after pretty soon. Okay, right after this conditional skill, we're going to take a look at this. So it extends the duration of debuffs on all parts by 4 turns. Okay, so for us, being highlighted here, Rafina and Blade are basically going to be the ones applying these debuffs. So they are the ones that are going to have to get hit by this, okay? So this is where your magic gear comes in, okay, to resist this. And then its other turn is going to apply a 100% vulnerability to all parts of the Fiend for 4 turns. It attacks us, whoever's here. In this case, it's going to be Blade, okay? However, for 4 turns, it's going to increase the enemy's attack or magic attack by 200% depending on their attack type. So for us, that means our physical damage attacks are going to be increased by 200%, which is incredible. So in case you guys do not have Apostle Blade, now I know she is currently in the rerun, and would I recommend going for her? I absolutely would, just because of the fact that she is technically still a very heavy hitter. It's the only downside to her is that it's because of her health. Okay, guys, they had to balance her out, okay? They had to balance her out somehow, okay? But yeah, it's the downside is because of her health. She has to survive the initial attacks for the counter to work, okay? But you're going to see why, in case you're a new player to this, you'll see why and what I'm talking about with this. But she is still one of the strongest. Now, I say one of the strongest when it comes to physical attacks like this, okay? And then it's going to activate again one more time, an extension of duration of debuffs. So keep that in mind as well. And then obviously it does the death blow. So first off, we're going to activate Liberta's Darn Saintus ability, get that 50% crit rate along with attack percentage boost. Going to activate Teresa's Milk Cow Kini, as I call it, ability for augmentation. Activate the lovely Deanna's increase for property damage for Blade. And then now we're not going to activate vulnerability, so if you really want to, you can just use a random attack. Well, not random. Actually, if you do have her her mechanical costume, I forgot what it's called. It's the one that just got its, you know, skill cutscene, okay? I would use it because you're going to want to save her, you know, her summoning of the Gundam costume. I'm sorry, I don't remember her costume names, guys. But you're going to want to use this ability, okay, a little later when it comes to the extending of the debuffs. So that's why I say if you do not have this costume, then just use a regular attack, okay? Okay, oh yeah, ooh, almost messed that up. But yeah, so, and then as for Blade, I'm just going to activate her Apostle ability, just because these two I'm going to be saving for next. Make sense? Okay, let's get it. do this. You know, I experimented a lot against this Yokai boss, but I found this to be the best way of handling it. Okay, so it activated its augmentation, so you can clearly see, there it is, augmentation damage dealt is increased. Now we're going to activate the vulnerability. So activate Liberta's Onsen Manager, activate Medical Club Terese, put her up here, make sure Rafina and Blade are highlighted. Deanna, you're really not going to do anything else with for like the entire, you know, first team of this. Apply vulnerability with Rafina, and then you can also apply vulnerability as well with Blade. Now she targets vulnerable. Okay, so when she uses her attack for vulnerability, she goes to a main target. It says so. Apply a 150% vulnerability physical to the main target. So the main target in this case is the weak point here. Now, like I said, I know that the back is like 300%, which has a 100% more weakness to it. But you're still going to hit the area nonetheless, so it's really not going to matter all that much. So this is how it should be, okay? So let it rip. Okay, so everybody's doing their thing. Rafina activated vulnerability. Blade activated her vulnerability skill there. Okay, so now the conditional skill is activated. Then you're going to go and seize extend the duration of debuffs. So now this is when you have Rafina activate the defense reduction on the Yokai boss for 50%. So the thing is, it's in the middle, right? All you got to do is just move it to the side. Left or right, don't matter. As long as the weak spots are targeted in this attack, you should be fine. Okay? So activate the lovely Liberta's Dark Sanctus ability again. Activate also Terese's Angel of Destruction ability for the bleed, because that is a debuff. Okay? And just make sure she's highlighted in there, okay? Deanna, she's still going to do her thing. Rafina, and then Blade. This is when you activate Onsen Blade's ability. But we're going to move Rafina up here just because so she can supply, you know, it throughout the entire fight with everybody else. Doesn't really matter because technically Blade's really the only one doing all the damage here. Okay, there it is. The bleed there. Now, the reason why I had Teresa use that ability is because for Onsen Blade, her damage stacks up more whenever, like, it depends on how many debuffs are on the enemy. That's basically what Onsen Blade's ability is based off of. You can even read it here. Deal additional damage to equal to 120% of your attack for each debuff on the enemy. So that's why I put Angel Destruction's skill, which was Bleed. Okay. Now we're going to do augmentation for Kalkini Terese. You can just activate Rafina's if you want to, so put her back in the middle. Liberta is under cooldown. Deanna's still under a cooldown time. Now this is when you activate Apostle Blade's counter, because this is when this bird is going to hit her. Now you're going to see a very big attack. So let's watch it unfold, shall we? Oh yeah, also put Liberta in the middle here, just so she can get a hit in, because you want to maintain the chain. Okay? So here we go. Just a straight line, right? There it is. There we go. Lots of damage. We love seeing that. We love seeing big numbers. Okay, so again, this is like this ability extending duration of debuffs. So you're going to activate Young Lady Blade. Put her in the back so she's hit. Activate Medical Club Teresa. You can just keep her there. And then activate again Rafina's ability for vulnerability. Activate Deanna's elemental property increase. Activate Liberta's Dark Sanctus ability. And then everybody's good. Now, Blade is not going to get killed by this because Teresa is going to heal her with her skill as well. So you do not have to worry about that, okay? Just make sure that Rafina and Blade are the ones that are always hit by these two skills that extend the debuff duration, okay? On the enemy. Okay, so there we go. So last attack, you can just literally use Angel Destruction if you want to. Keep Deanna there. Activate Liberta's Onsen Manager ability. Put her first. Right. Now, Rafina, left or right, don't matter, just as long as the weakness points are targeted. Okay. Put Teresi back here in the middle. So this is how it should look. Okay. Then Onsen Blade is going to be the one that attacks at the very end. Everybody's good. Let's get it. There it is. Huge damage. Now that's a very good chunk of damage. So that, I would say, is an accomplishment, right? There you go. Now, second team. So the thing is, this conditional skill is going to be activated regardless because if you remember, with Young Lady Blade, we applied a vulnerability to the target. So it is still activated for one more turn during that. So this is going to be activated. So it's okay. Don't worry about it. This boss is going to die nonetheless. Okay. So activate Grenadier's augmentation for this one. Okay. For the team. You can activate Rafithia's poolside just to increase the property damage a little bit more. I know it's not a lot in comparison to her bridal one, but it is still at least some property damage that'll be added on to when I use, you know, Bridal Rafithia's property damage increase again, along with the chain reinforcement and the energy guard. So activate it here. Make sure this is how you have them set up, by the way. You want everybody to be highlighted by Rafithia this entire time, by the way, okay? And then we're going to activate Celia's chain reinforcement from her Masquerade Bunny. If you have it, then that's great. If you don't worry too much about it. It's okay. You can still use her other two costumes for this. Sonya. Okay, so now Sonya is going to apply the vulnerability. Now, chain stacks of 6 or more apply a 175% dark vulnerability for 4 turns instead. Okay, deal so-and-so magic damage, based on your gear, by the way, to the enemy equal to 550% of your attack, or magic attack. So then we're going to activate that next after Celia. And then I'm going to activate Luvencia's dark, her Deal Snatcher ability. So this is where that chain stacks happen, okay? Everybody's good? So, let it rip. I really hope this is not too long of a video. I know we're hitting like 22 minutes. I just like to explain things in case it helps anybody else. Try and figure it out other than just, you know, staring at the screen and just wondering what's really going on. I like to explain a little bit. That's just me, though. Okay, so now it activated its skill. Gonna activate now its same ability that it did the last time. So you can use Grenadier's Glooty Queen one if you want to. Activate... well, actually, you can either activate her Glooty Showtime skill or her Bridal one. Don't really matter. I'm going to activate the Bridal one just because I want extra property damage and the chain reinforcements. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm also going to activate Celia's Apprentice skill here. It also adds additional... well, it also reduces the enemy magic resistance by 10%. If you upgrade it in the skill tree, that is. Okay, you have to activate that by leveling up her skill tree. And then I'm going to apply then Sonya's Nightmare ability. Okay, does bonus damage. And then Luvencia, I'm going to be using her Wild Dog. Okay, and then everything checks out. So let's let it rip. There we go. Nice chunk of damage. Okay. So now this is when extend the duration of debuffs. Okay, so Grenadier's on cooldown time. So now we're going to move Rafithia up here. Now, like I said, you can either activate her Glooty Showtime now, or you can activate her Bridal one. Okay, don't matter. Just so long as you get your debuffers here to get hit by this, so it extends the duration. So in this case, it'll be Celia. She'll reduce the enemy's defense by 10% for 2 turns, but that'll be extended. And then Sonya's vulnerability is going to be applied again, so that's also going to be extended. And then also, you're going to be attacking with Luvencia's Deal Snatcher costume, okay? And if you want to double check just to make sure that these debuffs are there, you see Nightmare's there, you see Magic Attack Reduction is there, and then you see it still has its defense, magic resistance reduction still applied to itself by its conditional skill, okay? So with that being said, let it rip. Now, Luvencia is going to survive this just because Rafithia's Energy Guard is actually what's going to protect her. Does that make sense? And if you want to be sure about it, you can just always, like, if you want to make sure that she actually does survive, you can just move them back by this, and it won't target her. Okay? So you can also do that. It won't affect Luvencia, because she's not a debuffer. But that's just something in case you want, you know, not to risk it. Okay? But Rafithia's Energy Guard should actually protect her. There we go. Okay. So if you look again now, it's extended, as you can clearly see. Vulnerability for incoming dark damage. Damage reduction is increased, or the duration is increased. Attack reduction, it's decreased. Nightmare, it's still there. It's been extended, along with everything else here, right? So this one, okay, so now you want Luvencia to be the one to get hit by this. Since technically she is the one, at least for me and my team, she does the most damage for the second one, okay? So I'm actually going to have Rafithia here. Going to activate her Bridal One for the Energy Guard. Going to activate Grenadier now that her 2 cooldown skills are, you know, refreshed. Going to activate her Shrine Maiden one. Going to activate Celia's Masquerade. And then going to activate Little Pumpkin Sonia for the bonus damage, because that's the only one I can use. And then I'll activate Wild Dog Luvencia. Okay? So here we go. Now, in all honesty, you could probably also use Sonia as well, which I'm pretty sure you actually can. If you want her to get the extra damage with this, with the Yokai's ability, you can technically do it too. I don't think it really matters if it's Luvencia or Sonia. Oh, snap. Hold up. Hold up. We gotta double check this. She went down. Interesting. Before, she actually survived that. Okay, not a big deal. What we can do then is I'll just put Sonya there. No big deal. Okay? Like I said, you can do either one. It don't matter. Yeah, the first time I actually did this, Luvencia actually survived. Maybe I had a little hiccup when she got hit for the first time. Because remember, I don't have any healers for this team. Okay, so there we go. So instead of Luvencia receiving the attack buff, Sonya has it. Okay, so again, it's going to extend its debuffs again on itself. So here, instead of Celia's reducing its defense for Luvencia in the next turn, I'm going to be doing the Apprentice Celia, because we're doing magic for Sonya. So I'm going to activate that first then. And then everyone else, I'm going to just do their own skills. So Sonya is going to be applying vulnerability. And then Luvencia, she is going to be doing her Deal Snatcher. So extending the duration of debuffs. So Sonya, move her back. Just switch the positions of basically Luvencia and Sonya. And make sure everybody checks on out. Okay? So the reason why I'm doing Poolside Rafithia is because I'm getting a little bit extra property damage. But to be honest with you, I think it's safer to do the chain reinforcement, because I'm also getting property damage from that, which is actually a bigger number. So it don't really matter. Okay, there you go. There comes Sonya. And then there it is. And that's the fight, guys. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it was very informative. And with that being said, I'll catch you all in the next Brown 2 video. Hope this video wasn't too long. I do my best to try and not make them long, but nonetheless, hope it helped out any new players as well to the game, and to get a rough idea as to gear building and who you should really try to improve upon and stuff like that. Okay? Catch you later, guys. Wow, I made it through this entire video without coughing. Take care, guys. See you in the live stream.